Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it's Tuesday here on the show, and you know what that means? Well, first off, it means I'm back. And we got a lot to talk about here today. Last night was Raw, and man, we're less than 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. And so we have got a lot of matches that have been announced. And we do know the night 1 and night 2 main event, but like the rest of the show, we only know the matches. And we've got a number of them, so we're going to go over that today. They made some new matches, some during the show last night, and some they made in the afternoon. So we're going to tell you about those here today, as well as tonight's NXT, which only has a few things announced. And we've also got a few things announced for... actually, you know what? I don't think we have anything announced for Dynamite, unless they announced something very, very recently. So we'll go over the lineups for everything. We got Fallout from the Dynasty show. I'm sure Mike and Tom talked all about that yesterday and some other stuff. So we'll talk about that, plus Linda McMahon and the Charlotte Flair Tiffany segment. There's a lot of people talking about that. We'll tell you what was scripted and what was not. And where I expect everything to go from here. SmackDown ratings from Friday night. The WWE ID Championships. I got an idea for that, which is kind of interesting, actually. We've also got the Collision ratings, the New Japan G1, and plenty more. If you'd like to text us here today, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. I'm F4W Online at gmail.com. And you can follow me on Threads, Instagram, and Cameo, F4W Online. All this month, Cameos are $10, which might have been a mistake because all I've been doing is Cameos. But you can grab one for $10. And I'm at Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Granny, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Set up an exercise program.
What kind of exercises are you doing?
Well, for one thing, just sitting.
I got that one down. Sounds like my exercise program.
Your exercise is just sitting.
Who was the most inspiring person you have ever met?
Granny of late.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing better.
I'll have to say myself.
Okay. What's the best part about having a massive heart attack?
Not dying, I guess.
There you go. Good answer.
Jeez, what a question.
Which vegetable would you send to outer space for aliens to try?
Broccoli.
How do you have that so quickly?
Ridiculously fast answer.
You've thought about this before.
It was at WrestleMania, the one in Phoenix. I can't remember which one.
I gotta go. I have to sneeze.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Granny. Granny laid on the guilt trip to end all guilt trips. Sorry, I wrote. Forgot we going 30 minutes late. And then you began. Gee, thanks. 30 minutes late. Was not told. Aggravating. I guess my time doesn't mean anything. Jeez.
Wow.
Golly. You happy, Granny? You made me so angry. You're over there snickering, laughing at what you've done. God.
Good.
You're going to have a heart attack.
Anything
like
else?
Granny.
Yeah.
Goody.
Goody, she says. The news of you having a...
What medication
arrest.
did they give you? To make the heart blacker? You enjoying yourself, quietly giggling over there? All right, Granny. What have you got today?
Nothing.
All right, we'll see you later.
You better have something after all that.
Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Just recently.
That's the date.
You told me that you watched CM Punk and Drew and didn't watch any more of the show, but this was on the show.
I know. I watched this one. Because I wanted to see what happened with Dominic. In which Midwestern city did rapper Eminem grow up?
Detroit.
Eminem?
8 Mile.
Okay, we had a new segment. Granny reads rapper names. That's
I'm an M.
I am an M.
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yep.
Eminem.
Ryan Adams covered an entire Taylor Swift album. What is the name of that album?
Ryan
1989.
Hey,
That's the right answer, dum-dum.
Excuse me.
Okay, now I'll quit picking on Brian and go away.
Thanks, Granny. Look at that guy hit that voiceover right on the dot, 30 seconds. What's going on, everybody? I'm back. Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Did you have a fun day yesterday?
I did. How about you?
Yeah, that was a day. Clearly not as fun as you guys' day.
Oh, what do you mean?
Hey, listen, we got a lot to get into here today, don't we? Yeah, we do.
You. Yeah.
You know, I always like to go into the chat during the breaks and see, like, what's everyone talking about here? Mm-hmm. What's everyone going on? What's on everybody's mind? Because sometimes that leads the discussion here. I just noticed I have now subscribed to my own Twitch for 57 months. Yeah, can't do comps. I have to pay for my own thing. But anyway, I'm looking around, and you know what everyone's talking about today?
What's that?
They're all talking about that Heathcliff. Is that his name? The comedian that was on Raw last night?
Hinchcliffe?
Is that what his name is? I thought it was Heathcliff.
Well,
Like the
Kreischer.
overweight cat.
Yes.
Is that not who it is?
That's right. You know, you get that one, you'd want Garfield, but you end up with Heathcliff and Friends.
Yeah. Well, here's what I can tell you. So
Which one had U.S. Acres on it? That was Garfield, right?
everybody is they're arguing this and that, and it's all coming down to politics. And I'll just say this. I don't like talking politics on this show because you're all bombarded with it in real life. And I don't think you tune into a wrestling show to hear more about politics. So I never talk politics. So let's just take politics out of the equation for a second and just talk about how he wasn't funny at all. Like, am I the only one? I mean, he was so painfully unfunny. And they put him on commentary for this match with the New Day. Mm-hmm. And he's making a bunch of jokes about Big E. And not one of them is funny. Like, not even bordering on funny. And I'm just watching this thinking, you're trying to sell me on watching the roast of WrestleMania with Heathcliff here? Because, brother, that ain't happening. Not in a thousand years. I mean...
Well, this is what you get. What did Big Cat Ernie Ladd say? When you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas.
God.
Here's the fact of the matter. No matter whether you like this, I like this, anybody out there likes it, or whether or not they love it, as long as they're in bed with Netflix, and Netflix is the #1 home of stand-up comedy. It is where everybody went to after HBO and other places gave up on it. They have these acts there. And you
wait, but hold on, Mike. Hold on.
Go ahead.
The beer drinking guy that ripped his shirt off with OTs. That guy they're plugging a Netflix special. This Heathcliff bloke, they chose him to do the roast of WrestleMania. That's WWE. That's not Netflix.
Hold on. Who owns that company?
What company?
Who owns TKO? WWE, TKO. What is
Not
TKO
Netflix.
and what is TKO an arm of? And what was Ari Emanuel? How many of these guys are being represented by a bigger group here? And
Well, sure, of course they are.
The guy. I understand that they chose the guy, but here's the thing too. He has the little bit I saw the Tom Brady one, the little bit I've seen of his roast. Look, I'm old. I'll take the old Dean Martin ones back in the day, and I'll certainly take Jeffrey Ross over anything that he gives. But he is the #1 guy when it comes to doing roasts right now. So in theory, they got in bed with the best guy to do roasts. Whether
he's the #1 guy,
he is the guy. He's the
funniest guy in the world.
No. I didn't say that. Hey, look, that's subjective.
I'm not asking you. I'm just
That's
asking, like, the
subjective.
world. He's
Hey,
the funniest guy in the world.
Well,
He's the
hold
#1
on.
guy doing this.
No, hold on. He's the number one roast guy because Jeffrey Ross used to be that guy, and he seems to be the number one guy that people go to, and he brings his friends like the Kreischers and the people like that.
I thought the roast was about making fun of other people.
It is.
I was disgusted. Anyway, Linda McMahon attempting to dismiss the Ring Boy lawsuit. She has filed a motion to have it dismissed. Her attorneys are arguing she has no significant connection to the state where the suit was filed, which is Maryland, only briefly renting an apartment in the state from 1970 to 1972, and she may have briefly held a wrestling license in Maryland back in 2004, which actually is hilarious when you think about it, because, I presume that means that, like, she was a performer on television, and she couldn't perform for WWE unless she got licensed as a wrestler. Now, some of you think that's ridiculous, but there are states that require licensing. You have to be a licensed professional wrestler, which sounds completely ridiculous, but I don't even know if Washington requires it anymore, but they used to. Like, I used to have to go get a physical, and, you had to fill out all this paperwork. I had to get a license to be a referee, a professional wrestling referee. And, like, in 2007, when I went to Ohio Valley for the match with the Man Beast, I had to get a Kentucky State wrestling license, which I still have at my house. My Kentucky State, I was a licensed professional wrestler in the state of Kentucky. So, anyway, which, whatever you want to say about Linda and the lawsuit, she has no ties to Maryland. That at least is a fair statement. I don't think having a wrestling license in Maryland in 2004 has anything to do with a Ring Boy lawsuit, but the filing also said she was never communicated or met the 5 individuals who filed the lawsuit. And she also said, which is preposterous, and this was in a written declaration, she said, "I was unaware of their allegations against me or anyone else named in the complaint." So you're telling me that she was married to Vince McMahon for all those years, and she never heard about the Ring Boy scandal? She never heard a word about it? Has
Donahue
anyone...
never happened.
Brother, has anyone... Forget Donahue. Has anyone in the chat not heard of this? Including those of you that started watching wrestling like 5 years ago? God.
Well,
she did say she never personally supervised Phillips while he was employed by WWE, nor did I direct his activities, which probably is true. Phillips never acted as my agent.
So far is believable, with the exception of the one you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like when you say all these things, maybe all of these things are believable and perhaps true, but then you throw out a line about how you were unaware of the allegations against me or anyone else, meaning you were unaware of the allegations against Vince? No. Ridiculous.
Or the company you were an executive of? Come on.
It's ridiculous. And it's one thing to say that in like an interview, but like a sworn, you had a written declaration claiming that?
Well, you can't show weakness, I guess. You can't say, well, I knew about this. Then it opens a hole, I guess, for the prosecution.
Well, just don't mention that part. Well. Then at least everything you said was true. You throw a lie in, and now no one believes anything you say. Anyway, that was...
Well, it's a family tradition.
Jiminy Christmas. SmackDown. I'm going to get to Charlotte and Tiffany after the break, so I need time. Friday night SmackDown did 1.6 million viewers, up almost 20% from the week prior. That was a show where they had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Paul Heyman, and they did that main event segment, and obviously a lot of people tuned in for that. 0.47, 18-49. Went head-to-head with portions of the both Final Four games, NCAA Women's College Basketball Tournament, which took the top 2 spots in the TV charts. Remember people said people didn't care about women's basketball or something like that? It was only a few years ago.
Paige Buckets is involved.
My, how that changed. And then the Collision show.
Wait a second, what?
What?
Never mind. Because now I want to unpack. I don't recall this outrage about or use of women's college basketball not being seen.
No, it wasn't an outrage. It was just there was a time a few years ago when people were like, no one's going to watch that. And they were very wrong. That's my point. Yeah.
I don't know. Never mind.
Okay, well, would you shut up? Let's go to a break. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
Here we are in the basketball room where we play lots of simple basketball games such as horse. Usually, if we get 12 friends together or however many on the team, we play a game. But today, it's horse. Thanks, Josh. And you're going to get to go first because I am a kind, giving boss. Or we can play ass. Play a game of one-on-one instead. Aside from the obvious the recreational facilities that we have here, I also like to use some of the facilities for my work. As many of you know, part of my job requires me to watch tapes from around the world. Mexico, Japan, different wrestling from different parts of the world, and write about it and review it. So therefore I've created this here, the media room. Got the projector, we got the big screen right here, and aside from using it for work, I also use it because young Vince here, as some of you might know, is an aspiring pro wrestler, and he's had a few matches under his belt. And as a grizzled veteran of the ring wars that I am, I like to come in here, watch the matches with Vince, give him pointers, critique him, help him out, and basically show him what he's doing right and what he can do to improve on. So we are going to watch, as a treat to you, this is a Super Chico tape, one of Vince's matches. So we'll get that thing ready to roll here. What are you doing? Okay.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And we got stuff to talk about with Charlotte and old Tiffy time.
Brian, hold it right there. Dom,
yeah.
Give him the intro.
Drinking in your daddy's basement.
You clipped that just for this?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, it's one of those. It's one of those things.
How long was that car ride up there yesterday?
It's one of those. It was long, 5.5 hours. It's one of those things where,
yes.
People have been watching.
No laughing matter, folks.
Hey, can I just have some time here? Sometimes
Go.
I need some pregnant pauses. So, a lot of you listening to this, watching this right now, have been listening and watching this sport for a long time. And so you just don't trust anything. So I've seen like a lot of people trying to make heads or tails of all of this and what was real and what wasn't and what are they doing on purpose and all this and that. And do I think that on Friday they're going to try to fully lean into this and start to do some worked shoot stuff? Oh, of course. Because now you're all going to tune in on Friday to see what's next, okay? But that's not what's happening here. Now, I do After Dark Radio. You know After Dark Radio? Mm-hmm. Wednesdays on Sports Byline USA, YouTube, and Twitch, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. And I don't like talking a lot about conspiracies because I find a lot of them to be shameful in a lot of ways and political, and I don't like talking about that stuff. But, you know, here's the thing with conspiracies, okay? You know what? There's a lot of reasons that people have these conspiracy mindsets, okay? One of them is actually a lack of sleep. Did you know that, Mike?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they just found that out. That people who don't get a lot of sleep tend towards conspiracy theories. Isn't that interesting? But anyway, one of them is people create conspiracies because they can't believe that something could happen, okay? Do you understand?
I do.
All right. So just a good example would be the JFK assassination, okay?
All right.
You had one guy with a cheap gun in a book depository who wasn't a very good shot, and he was shooting at a moving car, and he managed to, fire off X number of rounds. One went through a guy and hit another guy, and he actually killed a Kennedy. Like, people, they couldn't believe this was possible. There's no way. Well, there had to be another guy. There had to be a guy over there. You know what? There had to be a bunch of guys. Not only did there have to be a bunch of guys, but like the government. So they had to create this whole thing because they just can't believe one lousy shot, allegedly, could possibly pull this thing off. Every conspiracy you can think of is the exact same way, okay? So the thing with this Charlotte Tiffany thing is something happened, okay? And people are like, bro, I mean, come on. Why would Charlotte do this? Why would she do that? It just doesn't make any sense. And the reality is, sometimes stuff don't make sense. That's it, okay? So what happened was, they go out to do this interview segment. And yes, I don't get it either. That doesn't mean it's a conspiracy or a work, okay? Charlotte comes out, and she's clearly the heel in this scenario, okay? The fans are booing her, and they're actually booing her a lot. And so she tries to talk, and they boo her down, and she tries to talk, and they boo her down. And finally she says, you know what? Forget it. You got the last word, okay? And a lot of people saw this, and they were like, okay, well, she did that as a heel. Because why would she give up on a promo because she was getting booed? Well, the answer is, I don't know, but she did. Because that wasn't in the script, and there were other things she was supposed to say, and she just gave up on it. Now, if you want me to try to psychologically analyze Charlotte Flair, I can't, okay? But the only thing that I can presume is that, you know, everyone always talks about so-and-so has go-away heat and such. Well, if you watch wrestling and you listen to the crowd, there really are 3 types of boos, okay? There's just the regular booing, you know, some heel does something bad and the fans boo, whatever, okay? That's the most common type. Then there's a type like Dominic Mysterio or Don Callis, where not only do they boo, but to the fans, the booing is part of the act, and so they lean into it even more. And, you know, that's kind of like they're playing along in that sense, okay? Then there's the third type, which is, okay, they really don't like you, and it's like they're trying to boo you out of the building. Does everyone understand? You've all heard these different types of boos, right? So I think what happened was she went out there expecting to just get the traditional, I'm going to be a heel and the people are going to boo me. But instead, the people were like trying to shout her down because they really, really don't like her. And she was offended by that reaction as opposed to just, hey, we're going to boo you like any other heel on the show. I mean, they were really vociferously booing her like, go away. We hate you. And I think she took that personally and she was just like, screw it. I'm done. Go ahead and do this segment. So then Tiffany starts doing all of her lines. And she mentions that that Charlotte is a Nepo baby, which was a scripted line. But then Charlotte jumps in with Nepo Queen, the number one Nepo baby. This was not in the script. I don't know if she was trying to throw Tiffany off or what the deal was. Then she starts making fun of Tiffany's voice, which was absolutely not in the script. And she's ridiculing her and doing the high-pitched voice thing. And then Tiffany was like, I guess she was over it. And she mentioned, what are you now, 0-3? The discussion about divorces and everything, that was all in the script. But the line about 0-3, which was a reference to how many times she's been divorced, that was not in the script. And Tiffany ended up throwing down the mic and rolling out of the ring, which is a heel move, and she's supposed to be a babyface. That also was not in the script. And if you watch it, she throws down the mic and she starts to roll out of the ring, and Charlotte starts walking, and Wade Barrett, he is going to get between these two because he can see this thing has gone totally off the rails. And so they go to the back, and I mean, the fact is there was heat on both of them. There was more heat on Charlotte because, A, I mean, she went off the script more, and B, like, she's the veteran. She's the one who's supposed to be keeping this stuff together, which, by the way, is the exact same thing that I was talking about in her match with B-Fab and in her other promo segment with Tiffany. But it's mostly the B-Fab match because Charlotte's thing is, if stuff starts to go wrong, I'm going to make sure that the audience knows it's their fault, not mine. What she should be doing is if things start to go south, well, she needs to try to reel it in. She's the veteran. She's been doing it longer. It's her job to try to save it. If she ends up getting heat because fans don't understand who screwed that up, well, whatever. Like, that's part of your job. But I mean, I first started seeing these problems in that B-Fab match. It was her second match back. She had another match with Michin, which I honestly wasn't paying that much attention to. But the B-Fab match was definitely like, B-Fab is green, and if something went wrong, Charlotte just like step back, let her sink, let the fans know it's her fault, not mine. Then they do the match. Something goes wrong, let her sink. And it was the same thing with that promo. It's like Charlotte got angry, and so she gave up. Tiffany, at that point, was remaining professional. She kept going. And then Charlotte's like, well, I don't know what she was thinking, but she did it. So anyway, there was heat on both of them. And I guess we'll see what they end up doing on Friday. My guess is that now that this happened and so many people have seen it, my guess is they're going to try and do work, shoot stuff. And for everybody that thinks like this whole thing was a work, let me tell you something. When they start doing work, shoot stuff, you're going to very quickly figure out that this wasn't a work. Because when WWE does work, shoot stuff, it's painfully obvious. And they're either going to do that and lean into it if these guys can like figure out how to work together, or we're going to have via satellite again. Charlotte in this room, Tiffany in this room. And I guess the only other thing I can say is I watched that B-Fab match. I watched this promo segment. I have no hope for this match at WrestleMania. Absolutely, positively no hope. Because Tiffany is a great athlete, but she's still green, and there's going to be something that goes wrong, and I have no faith that Charlotte is going to throw her a life preserver. She's going to let her sink, and the match is going to go all to hell. That is my prediction here on April 8th. I hope they prove me wrong, but that's my prediction.
I hope it's via satellite. So Tiffany can be in one room.
What, the match via satellite? You're right. Correct.
The interview segment, because
Oh.
you can have Tiffany in one room, and Dom, where will Charlotte be?
Drinking in your daddy's basement.
You guys sicken me. Back in a moment. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. It is the annual Christmas show. We have Big Vinny V as always, who's wearing a hat.
Can confirm.
Sean is here as always. He is not festive at
I
all.
forgot my hat.
Granny is here. Granny, what's going on?
Hello.
Craig is here, not festive at all.
Yeah.
And we have Filthy Tom. Oh boy. Should we do shots now?
No.
I think I should probably watch this for a second. Oh my god. Granny is doing a joyride.
I thought they were going to be here.
A box of tissues. Clearly that was for Vinny.
Scotty's.
How dare you? Yeah!
Who is this? My guest?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
John in Memphis is on the air and he is hammered. I'm a cool guy, right? I'm invited to the barbecue. God damn it!
Merry Christmas!
I got sober up for this call.
Yes.
That's a girl.
Oh, is this Harley Cameron?
How
Love
did you
you.
know? I even put
I
on the
love you.
American accent.
It is? Everyone shut up.
Hold on.
You are the most talented performer in the entire business.
Yes, man.
What are you doing in pro wrestling?
First of all, you've been far too generous and kind, and I appreciate you.
I don't think I've ever seen Vinny that happy before.
Bro, ladies and
Yeah, I'm
gentlemen,
going to
welcome to the show today here with Filthy Tom Waller and the Goon Squad.
Tom, what are you doing?
I gotta pee.
Well, go pee then. Don't do it on air.
Hola,
Way to go.
Hola?
¿cómo estás?
Is this the Beast Mortos? Yes!
That could not go any better.
The Beast Mortos is here on the air. Beast, how you doing? He sounds very agitated, Vinny.
I'm starting to get the feeling this is not a live call with the Beast Mortos.
The Beast is short-circuited. No!
That's the moon.
¿Cómo estás?
What is happening?
Hello, Brian.
Is this Don Callis?
Rob is using the Meltzer star rating for his urinal visits. Just so you know, I'm 7 stars, baby.
Ah!
So that's it.
If it's 7 stars, I want to see it.
What? Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. I like your idea that they should do their match via satellite.
Well, that was your idea, but I'd be okay with that too. Although the way they've been doing this, no, I want to see it actually play out to completion inside of a ring in front of thousands of people and millions watching around the world at a big stage like WrestleMania. And I'm amazed that it took up until BFAB, until you had a problem with something that Charlotte had did with an opponent. I mean, there have been plenty in the past, probably most notably.
Oh, no, there were plenty. The throwing down the
Kairi
belt.
Sane. Yeah, well, the Becky thing for sure, but the most egregious one I remember was the Kairi Sane one when she was concussed. And granted, Flair didn't know she was concussed at the time, but probably should have known something was up before she slapped her across the face just to let everybody know that it was not her that screwed things up.
All right, I had a guy a year ago, he misses the Christmas shows, and I was like, we do them every year. He goes, I haven't signed up since 2017. I was like, what are you waiting for, dude? $9.99 a month, you get everything, brother. We got 3 options, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You're missing a lot on these shows. If you like the Christmas show, we don't drink, but we have a lot of fun on some of these shows, and you're missing out, brother. F4WOnline.com/Apple, F4WOnline.com/Spotify, F4WOnline.com/YouTube. All $9.99 a month to get all the shows. None of the main site stuff, but you get the shows. And you can also try F4WOnline.com/new and get the full site at a big discount if you're a new subscriber, F4WOnline.com/new. And you should be getting these $10 cameos while you can. Yeah. They're awesome.
Wait a second,
Should
but
I
we
read
don't
some of
want to
these?
take time away from you. You said you've gotten too many of them at first. You may have.
Well, I have, but I'm also making a lot of money.
Oh.
Look at this, 5 stars. You pulled on Steve-O's heartstrings. He loved it, this person said.
Steve-O?
Person goes, Bryan is the best. My wife loved his cameo, was totally surprised. Because of this, she'll join me for Mania 42 in New Orleans. 10 stars, he said. Yeah, 10 stars. Let's see what else we got here. Got a lot of 5-star rating. Masterclass, this person says. Masterclass from Bryan Alvarez. Second cameo I've gotten. I'm in tears from laughter. What a deal. Thank you, sir, he says. $1 million. This person says, wouldn't have done justice to this. Bryan Alvarez is a national treasure. I would buy him a gold boat if I could. Incredible video. I'm telling you. F4W Online on Cameo. Go get one right now. If you don't, I'm going to keep reading reviews. What do you think about that? All right. We got this WWE ID gimmick. I think what they've done now is clever. So, what's going on is there are certain WWE ID contracted talent. They're indie guys under a WWE ID deal. And they get like a little bit of money to like upgrade their look and this or that. It's not like a living wage or anything like that. But and then, of course, if WWE wants them, they go to developmental. But these WWE ID talents are wrestling on the indies, and they're doing tournaments to determine champions. So what they're going to do is, once they have champions, the idea is that they will defend the titles on various indie shows. And sometimes it will be WWE ID versus WWE ID. And sometimes it will be WWE ID versus not WWE ID talent. Yes. Now, the storyline is that if you are a non-ID talent and you beat the ID champion, you get a WWE ID deal, okay? So I actually think this is very clever because most of the time, obviously the ID talent is going to win. But I think what they're going to do is they are going to secretly sign a few people to ID deals, and those people will upset the ID champion, get a WWE ID contract, and then, you'll never know. Like, originally it was, when they first announced this, people were like, well, who would ever want to watch that? Because the non-ID talent's never going to win. Well, actually, you don't, because they will have an upset. And the idea will be that no matter who the WWE ID wrestler is wrestling, there's a chance that the opponent could end up getting a contract. So I think it's very, very clever, unless somebody shoots.
Well, that's the only way that can work is you actually have some matches with people where the WWE ID champion is going to go over, but it's going to be against somebody who was not signed secretly to a WWE deal. Maybe that could take place with, I don't know, just picking a name out of thin air. Filthy Tom Lawler.
You think so?
I'd like to see it.
Let me send one text.
Who are they going to send to get the title off of him? You know who they should send? The Creed brothers, since he's already got beef with one of them anyway.
Yeah, I think the solution to this is they need to put those ID championships on shooters.
Tamara Mensah Stock. What's her
Yeah.
name in WWE now? Tamara May Steele or whatever it is. Put it on her. Her or Kendall Gray. Ain't nobody getting it off.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're under. They wouldn't work as ID people. They're Evolve people, I guess. Do they have titles over there too? Evolve titles yet?
I'm sure they've got Evolve titles.
Still haven't watched it yet. Sorry.
I haven't either. I just know that the 13-year-old is going to be on NXT tonight.
Who? What?
One of the swipe right blokes, the one that looks 12.
Oh, God.
Him
Oh,
and
yeah. What were their
Ricky
names?
Smokes.
I love it. Ricky Smokes.
I mentioned Ricky Smokes, and everyone on the board's like, it's Ricky Spears, or whatever his name is. What's his new name? Ricky Saints.
Yes.
Ricky Smokes would be... I'm like, it's a different guy, brother.
No, completely different
There's a
guy.
Ricky Saints and a Ricky Smokes.
And what is it, Brandon Baxter or whatever?
Something like... Not Brandon Baxter. Come on. I used to know that guy.
I know. I kept trying to think, though. It's again, they look like but I guess we've gone so far. It's just amazing since we were graduating high school in, 93, 94? Like, now the Abercrombie and Fitch guys have come around to be heels again as two little douchebags, like two little Mean Street Posse guys in the world of Evolve that are now on the NXT roster in Wrestling University, that is that show.
You'll never guess what the usual suspects are complaining about. Oh, more belts! Yeah. Belts we're never going to see on television and will only be on untelevised indie shows. The temerity.
Does it matter?
The absolute temerity. Let's talk some Raw notes here. So, Adam Pearce, after all that time, he just comes out and goes, well, Bianca, Rhea, Io, three-way at WrestleMania. That was easy.
Well.
And then, after all that, in the afternoon before the show, they announced a four-way for the Intercontinental title and then shot the angle later. So, it's Braun versus Finn versus Dom versus Penta. Signed to WrestleMania. Yeah. And then we got Bayley and Lyra for the women's title, which was a good match. Although, hey, you know that funny man, the comedian guy,
the reputedly funny man.
Yeah, that allegedly funny person. He's on there. He's putting over Michael Cole. I grew up with you. You're a legend. Blah blah. I'm like, God help me. Like, he's better than when Vince was there. But my God, I'm watching this Bayley Lyra match, and it's actually a really good match. But I got to listen to Cole going on and on about how this is an instant classic. An instant classic. To the point where, like, by the end, I was ready to bury the match just because I was so angry at Michael Cole. But I'm not going to do that because it was a very good match. But you know what it wasn't? An instant classic.
What can Lyra do? What can she do? Because she is technically, mechanically pretty damn good. I mean, like, there's something that is missing. Charisma.
Yes, her charisma and her personality. She's very, very robotic, is what she is.
How do you inject anything into her without being... Again, she's just going to have to turn heel, because I can see her turning heel to go, okay, maybe she can add some personality that way and then fade away.
Hey, listen, all I know is this. Ricochet was a rather uncharismatic wooden babyface. And they turned that guy heel, and he is a revelation. Okay? So maybe that's what Lyra needs. I don't know.
Start cussing at people in Irish?
All I know is this. I've mentioned this 1,000 times. I'll say it again. I got 2 kids. Okay? And, you know, sometimes I go to their school and I see them out of the household. I see them around other kids, and they can be shy. They can be quiet. What am I talking about? But anyway, some kids are like that, okay? Some kids are like that, all right? I'll put it a different way. When I coached jiu-jitsu, I had some kids that were like uncharismatic robots, okay? Just completely uncharismatic robots. Then class ended, and they stepped off the mat, and they went to their parents, and then they were complete, absolute maniacs. The point of this is, everybody has a personality, okay? Everybody has a personality.
But you're going to say spank your kids or
No.
something.
No. Lyra, think of the who's the most boring wrestler you can think of? Actually, I got a great example. Brad Armstrong. Brad Armstrong. Okay.
Right.
That guy in the ring was the most boring dude. Okay.
What?
In the ring, I shouldn't say in the ring. Well,
On
yeah,
the
in the
mic.
ring. I'm not talking about his wrestling ability, but like he was just a guy. And his promos were nothing special. And, all he had was he was a good technical wrestler. A great technical wrestler, okay? But everybody that knew him would say the exact same thing. This is the funniest guy. He is just, like, they would all rave about his personality outside the ring.
Dean Malenko.
He couldn't figure out how to bring his personality into the ring, okay? It's supposed to be your personality turned up to 10. Or in the case of Ric Flair, your personality turned down to 10. Whatever. But the point is, Lyra, I'm sure the lady herself is a very charismatic person in certain ways and situations, and she needs to figure out how to bring that into the ring, into her character. She has not figured that out yet. She's a very good wrestler, but we don't get any personality out of her. That's something to work on.
She can change her name to Enya Valkyria and team up with Chelsea Green.
We had Dragon Lee in the LWO losing to American Made and El Grande Americano when El Grande loaded his mask.
Rudo.
To get the win. And that led to Ray challenging El Grande for WrestleMania. No stip. Because I think what's going to happen is they're going to do the Mania match at the beginning of the feud. El Grande wins. Then you move on to whatever the next pay-per-view is. He probably wins a second time. Then Ray makes a challenge for the mask match, which would maybe be SummerSlam.
Does Paul have a match at Mania?
Paul who? Heyman?
Jake Paul? Or,
Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Yes, AJ Styles.
Oh, AJ Styles. Well, I keep thinking of Karrion Kross there, but I can see being involved in that. Somebody being involved that helps El Grande Americano beat Mysterio at Mania.
Back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. I think that this show was like the best and worst of AEW.
The earliest story of this show was somebody almost died in every match. I thought MJF's head was going to fall off his body.
It looked like he put his own head into the mat as hard as he could.
Momo kicks Mercedes. Mercedes might have a bruised larynx.
I was certain Swerve had broken his neck.
Man, this dude landed right on his head.
Mariah May versus Toni Storm.
Good Lord.
Mariah gets her hands on a champagne bottle and smashes it right into Tony's crotch.
Some guy in the front row holds up a sign that goes, "For the sickos!"
It sure was.
It's like, well, goddamn, this was for the sickos,
That's
all
as
right.
sick as you can get.
Yes.
I did not have glass to the vajayjay on my bingo card. For
I don't
this
know
year.
why not.
I certainly hope not.
You should have.
What kind of bingo are we playing over there? And the two big screens just read, "The End." This, in hindsight, absolutely should have ended the show.
Maybe it should have. However, I can't guarantee that this match was going to be this good with this much heat 5 hours into the live show.
Well, there's that.
Following all those matches we saw. Like,
true.
every time people say this should main event, it's like, are you sure you want that? Then we had Takeshita and Kenny. Another incredible match.
What is up with they have an announcer that wears a mask?
Oh, no. God, please, not this. Anyway, the match.
What is that about?
I actually was fixing to give Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher the highest star rating on the show, but I would say that by the last 3-4 minutes, I was like, well, you did a little too much here. People are going to be mad, but it's true. We didn't need the Spanish fly off the top of the cage. This match would have been as good or better without it.
The penis first Styles clash into the tax.
That should be a finish.
That should be a career ender. It is tomb silent.
Oh, yeah, this crowd's dead.
They've seen every single goddamn thing two human beings can do to each other, and now men are grappling.
And Jason here goes, it's go away heat, Brian. He sucks. Listen, do you guys know what go away heat is?
Listen.
There were 11,000 people in this building. It's just like when people hated Jericho. There still is no evidence that he actually ran anybody off. They just didn't want him. Like, there's a difference. You want a different champion, but who is quitting AEW because Jon Moxley retained tonight?
put the belt on Swerve immediately as soon as possible. It could be me. It could be you. It could be Mark. Anyone.
I don't want it.
Just it's run its course.
All right. Golly, this Moxie has heat with these people. What did you think, Mark?
Oh, I'm coming for you now.
I punched him in the diverticulitis. Piss like a sprinkler.
Go
Back
out, and
forth,
we are going to do
back
what was
and
billed.
forth.
No, not like this.
There was more. There was.
It's not for me. Why do you like it?
No,
so
Jason.
much? Are you guys on Tony's payroll?
Well, we didn't get through the rest of the show, but I will say that I would recommend that everybody go back and watch that that segment with Jey Uso and Gunther, because I thought that Jey did an awesome job. I did a great job in that segment. Probably one of the best performances he's ever done. So that's certainly something to check out. And I thought they did a really good job in the main event with Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Paul Heyman. So they've added to that story. So before it was just like, well, is Paul going to help Roman Reigns or is he going to help CM Punk? And then Seth is just kind of the last rando there. And I think people started to figure out over the weekend, maybe it's a swerve. Maybe he's not going to help either of them. He's going to help Seth. Well, Monday they just had Seth basically come out and say, Punk don't care about you. Roman doesn't care about you. Neither of them care about you. Don't ever forget that I was the first guy you asked to be in War Games. And then he goes to attack Paul. CM Punk runs out to make the save. Seth gives Punk a curb stomp. And then he runs to give Paul a curb stomp. But he stomps right next to his head. And he says, now you owe me a favor. So basically, it's 3 different guys that Paul Heyman could end up helping in that match. And I don't know who it's going to be. I think they've got to be changing something up. So I think it's either Seth or Punk turns heel. One of those two I think is turning heel with Paul. But anyway, I ranted all the way to the end of the show. We're out of time. Check us out, Brian Vinny's show tonight, Mid-South Wrestling. We're going to be watching that. All the info's on the front page. I think it's season 6, episode 20, I think. But that'll be a fun time. Back tomorrow with more. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners, we'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.